Hi guys, welcome to another video from Overbite Gaming, and today we're taking a look at Mechwarrior 5 Clans. Now, I have played Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries, which is the previous game. I think it's by Piranha Bytes. I couldn't get on with it. I'm a huge Mechwarrior video game fan. I played Mechwarrior 2 back in the day with a joystick on my PC, loved it. I played Mechwarrior 2 Mercenaries, Mechwarrior 3, Mechwarrior 4, Mechwarrior 4 Mercenaries. I did pretty much the lot. Mech Commander, you name it. If it was Battletech, I did it. Obviously, the Battletech RTS, not RTS, strategy game. That was Hairbrain Studios, I think, that one. Played it all. And I just couldn't get on with Mechwarrior 5 Mercenaries. I don't know what it was. I've always liked the Mercenaries lineup more than usually the regular games. But I can't explain it. It just didn't draw me in. I mean, I felt like I was constantly on the edge of going bankrupt because all the repairs I had to make to my mechs, all of this, and there just didn't seem really guidance in it. Like, I'd be taking on missions with like mechs, and they were like not really appropriate for the missions, and it was like really difficult as well. So I kind of like played it, and I watched a podcast from Arch where he played it, and I was like, now I want to play it again. I tried it again and I still couldn't get into it, so ended up sort of just like drifting away from it. So when the Clans was announced, same studio, basically a spin-off game, right? Although it is full price unless you have Game Pass, because that's why I'm playing it. And I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to pay money for this, because like I bought the last one and I'm not playing it. So although I really want to buy it on the, the chance it's good, I can't justify a full price purchase for that. And then Game Pass came to the rescue, and it's essentially included with the subscription for that. So I got to play it and tell you guys about it. So what is Mechwarrior the Clans? It is obviously a mech piloting game. It's a bit more arcadey than some. I think it's a bit more arcadey than the previous one, but I suppose it depends on how you scale your difficulty. So, what are the clans? Let's do a brief history lesson by someone that knows a little bit about Battletech, but not a great deal, in terms of the lore. Because last time I bought a lore book was Ghost Bear's Legacy or something for a really old version of the game. But, I have knowledge of the sort. So the clans, basically there was a civil war in the Inner Sphere. A guy called Kerensky, I think I pronounced that correct, Alexander Kerensky, that's the guy. He basically took his forces and left the Inner Sphere because he didn't like the look of the war coming. They wanted him to be the boss, but he was not up for that, so he left. And then a little bit later, he basically disappears into the void in the outer planets and stuff. And then his son, I think it's Nicholas Kerensky. I could be wrong about that one. Nikolai, maybe? Yeah, they have like really sort of ethnic names in this. There's a lot of like Swedish and Japanese and Russian names. But I think it's Nicholas Kerensky. Basically, his son kind of just did what his dad did, but instead of just disappearing, he actually went and founded the clans. And the clans are like these ritualistic, tribalistic, militaristic groups. They have different terms for fucking everything, which is annoying. So you have a lance of mechs in the Inner Sphere, and you have a star of mechs from the clan. It's all very sort of space-based. Their names, like you have sort of nebulas and shit like that. And after a little while, what happens is, and this is at the start of the game, it does actually do a reasonably good job from what I've read into the lore of representing this part of the history of Battletech, the Battletech universe. I don't know if there's an actual name for it or what. So what happens is an Inner Sphere ship turns up by one of their planets, and they're like, oh shit, we need to get on this, because they've always had this great idea of going back to the Inner Sphere and liberating, because they view it always like a paradise, but it's ruled over by these despotic great houses, and they need to clear out the great houses and everything and be cushy. So they've always had that belief, and this ship turning up kind of spurs them into action to do it, because they realise that their technology is advancing, because the clan's technology is actually more advanced than the Inner Spheres, specifically their mech technology and their battle suits and stuff like that. So they realise they're losing that advantage, so they need to get into gear, and so they do, and they invade the Inner Sphere, and that's what this game is set around. So there you go, that's the clans. The gameplay itself, I play it on mouse and keyboard. It's not my preferred way to play these games, but I do I have a really good hotel setup. I've got the Thrustmaster Warthog, which is it's a great stick, but it's really stiff. So like, it's fine when you're like flying spaceships and shit, where you just have to make delicate maneuvers. But when you like really swing stuff around like in a mech, it gets a bit tiring to use it. So I don't know. I can probably loosen something or oil it if I looked into it. But I play mouse and keyboard this time around. I had no problems with it. In fact, like from a first-person viewpoint with the default controls, it almost plays like a first-person shooter. To be perfectly honest with you, so that's why I get where I'm saying it's more arcade. I also found that the difficulty level was not as punishing. I don't know whether it's because you're unlocking stuff as you get to levels. Like quite often, I'm exactly at the drop tonnage level recommended for the mission, whereas like previously I'd be under it because I spend my money on repairs, which you obviously don't have to do in this game. You have a number of systems to worry about though, which I'll get into. The gameplay is as you expect from a mech game. If you've ever played one, it is a mixture of lasers, ballistic weapons, PPCs, and missiles going into other giant robots. If you're not familiar with mechs, think they're not like, if you compare it to Warhammer, they'd be like small knights, I guess. They're certainly not as big as Titans or anything like that, but you know, some of them get pretty big. I think like the top end is usually about 100. I think the biggest one I've ever heard of is about 120 tons, and generally considered the top end is like 100 tons, like for an Atlas or King Crab or is it Direwolf? I think it's a Direwolf. They changed the name. It used to be something Japanese when I first found out about it, but whatever. A Daishi, I think it was. Daishi? I'm not Japanese, so I can't pronounce it. So it's basically that. You have a start of 4 other mech warriors with you, so you've got a nice sort of group backup. So if you do get into trouble, you can back off a little bit and let your star mates take things out. You can order them to do so by pressing the middle mouse button. It brings up a radio wheel where you can order them to attack your target or go places or get themselves repaired, stuff like that. Well, it's kind of nicey. It is a little bit tricky to deal with that while you're also in a fight for your life, but you know, you pay your money, you take your choice. If you want to stop and get help, you got to stop and get help, right? Whatever. The controls are okay. Obviously, you're kind of like curtailed on a mouse, because I mean, I have like multiple buttons on my mouse, but I only found I could like map the regular 2. So I was like having to use keyboard shortcuts as well, which you know it's not terrible. I mean, the numbers on the top row of the keyboard are equated into your weapon groups, which you can modify, so you can have all the lasers together if you want and stuff like that. Which is good because you also move with WSAD, you know, like a first-person, any first-person game really nowadays. When you press W, you go forward. When you press S, you go back. It is interesting. It doesn't set a throttle speed, at least by default. It will, if you hold it down, it will just go faster and faster until it reaches stop speed, and when you let off the key, it slows down till it stops. So you can change it, but that's the default method of control. So you go through missions. You're part of the Smoke Jaguar clan, which was an interesting choice, as they're quite often portrayed as the bad clans, or one of them. So I mean, certainly like wolves and bears, like I think it's no, it's just wolves.
I was worried I might not see any you again.
I'm never real sure. But you have, I think it's Spaceballs. No, it can't be Spaceballs. That's got to be copyright protected by GW. But you know, I mean, there's like a wolf one, but they tend to be like kind of the good guys, and like Ghost Bear's like kind of just behind them, from what I've read. So there's that. One of the big advantages the clans have is their elemental suits. So you don't get to pilot one, which is a shame. It would have been quite cool. I believe in an earlier one you did. I can't remember which one, but I definitely remember piloting an elemental suit. What it is, it's like you have a big chonking clan boy, and then you put a big chonking suit of armor around him that's powered and has like small mech grade weaponry on it. and they basically swarm bigger mechs
Star Commander.
and like tear their way in and kill the pilots and shit like that. So
I invited
you
you
know,
and your
the
fellow
Innisphere
Civkin
did have suits like that, but
because I was
they were
told by King
much
Commander Ismar
more inferior.
that you
Like an elemental could take a blast from a
Are
medium
exceptionally attuned
mech
to one
laser,
another.
you know, which is like,
Is that an accurate
that's
assessment?
impressive.
Galaxy
So
Commander.
they have this big technological advantage. They go down, they start mauling
spoke
people. You
Jaguar.
fight pirates at
In
first, then you
accordance
move on
with
to
our
Draconis Combine as you
I,
work your way through.
Galaxy Commander Cordero Perez.
Well, you discover there's like
Formally extend
some
to you
intrigue
a
going on.
ransom
There is a storyline to it. You do get cutscenes.
in
The cutscenes
exchange
are actually really well
for your
done.
enlistment
They
under the
do
banner
this
of
thing
my
where
Beta
like
Galaxy,
they kind of like vibrate a
offer to you a
little,
star of
the
battle
characters.
for you to command.
Because like if you watch a
as you see
human,
fit.
right, you're not still.
And this is to be formed
You never like.
by your fellow Civkin.
You're not like, remember like old games where they just be
All
like entirely still and their mouth would flap, but their heads would never really move.
Will you serve under my command?
They've obviously like come a long way, but even when they're still and not talking, you're never really still. There's always some sort of
Bargained
movement
well
going on,
and done,
they seem to
Galaxy
like be
Commander.
trying to approximate
Excellent.
that with this
Excellent.
vibration, because like
Your new star will be
like
assigned to the
people are
362nd
never still. They have
Assault
this
Cluster.
internal sort of buzz about them,
Under
and
Star
sometimes it
Colonel
works,
Emily Wimmer.
sometimes it works less
Welcome
well, and
to
it
the
looks a bit
362nd, the
but
Silver
like
Jackal.
I admire the attempt.
And congratulations to you.
And I don't think I've seen anyone else
Successful
talk about
trial,
that.
Star
So
Thank
hopefully
you,
it's not
Star
just a
Colonel.
bug in their software.
Look
And it
forward
was
to
an
working
actual
with you and
honest
Galaxy
attempt
Commander
at
Perez
sort
for
of
many years
injecting
to
some
come.
realism into the cutscenes,
Likewise.
which you know, I'm going to
I
give them
have
the
a
benefit of the
warrior,
doubt on that one.
Naomi, that
The
is in
story
need of a new
is-
assignment.
It's very much a
She
side
will be
piece
your
around the
star at this
invasion,
point.
but you know, you still participate in some
forward to
pivotal
meeting her.
points, and you're certainly exposed to like the Wolves flagship being taken out,
Perfect
which is
timing.
completely canon.
Some
You
fool
know
of a clan
that
has entered
you hear about that,
conscious
and you're
space looking for a
affected
fight.
by it, but you're not actually there.
Who do you think it is, Galaxy
The
Commander?
characters themselves are
The Nova Cats.
they're
series
serviceable
of
just for
trials
like
against them
having
recently.
like 5 bodies around you.
Anvaru is looking
There's
for
no one that really
retribution.
stands out. I mean, there's one guy that gets like a bit of character progression, and obviously you play the main guy, Jaden,
Star Colonel Diesel.
who
What
wins.
clan dares challenge us?
The
home system.
tutorial is basically him earning
Right,
his blood
Galaxy
name
Commander.
and the right to be Star.
Fine.
A jump ship has
I can't
materialized
remember.
100
It's not Star
linear
Command, but
points.
like leader of the Star,
It is not planned in origin.
by its right of succession, which is
How is
another-
that possible?
They have a lot of rights, the clans, and when they do stuff, they say, "Oh, I want to invade this planet," and one clan says, "Oh, no, I want to invade that planet too." So he says, "Well, I'm going to use 100 battle mates to take that planet," and the other guy goes, "100? I'll do it with 50." And basically, the lower you go, the more like you would win. So you might end up invading a planet with like 10 mechs or something stupid like that. You know. But you know, you've bartered for it, so you got to go out and do it, and then it's shame if you lose. And yeah, it's very
Fellow call.
very sort of honor bound, but there's still like bad
come to you
honor
today
bound
with a
people
matter
in
of
there that
critical
don't really
importance.
do the whole honorable thing as
Clans.
well. I mean, there's a massacre that happens in the game, which is also
Last
in the
month,
lore, and you are literally
unidentified
there
jump
for that
ship
one. So
Materialized at a pirate point.
you know,
above
then
our capital on Hudson.
as honorable as they are, and they're not by any stretch of the imagination all good guys. There are good guys in there, but they're also bad
And
guys.
interrogating its crew.
And
We
I
have
really got
learned that
into it. The systems
ship,
that I was alluding to earlier, so you don't pay for repairs. What you do is you have a set
Outbound
amount of technicians that all sort of repair a set amount of damage, right?
Originated from the inner
And then you
sphere.
assign those to the mechs in your star. You can also have more than that fit in your star. So the star's 5 mechs, you can have more.
Capture of this
but
vessel.
What you can also do is you
And
can
the
use
intel
experience
I
that
am
you
now
get to
forwarding to
upgrade
all of you
the
points to
technicians so they
one
all
indisputable
heal
fact.
more, or you can get more technicians. And there's a research area which you can increase like range or duration or damage of a laser, things like that. It works exactly the same way. So you have a certain amount of scientists that will produce a certain amount
It is
of
only a
science,
matter of time.
which goes into whatever project you're working on,
never-ending
and you
war.
can increase the amount of science they generate, and you can increase the amount of scientists that you have, which is cool. You can buy mechs. You have to unlock them before they all become viable. Like when you start off, you've got like the smaller ones, and you get bigger and bigger as you go up in levels. They're level locked. Because you're in a military sort of association, it makes more sense to have it locked off like that. It's like they wouldn't give the biggest and best equipment to like a raw recruit, right? You would have to work your way up the ranks to get access to that sort of equipment. So it makes more sense than in Mercenaries doing something like that, where it'd be like, okay, this costs 5 million sea bills, and you're like, oh, I've got 5 million sea bills, but you're not level X. It's like, does it matter? I'm giving you 5 million sea bills for it, you bastard. That sort of thing. You do still have to buy the mechs, unfortunately, so that kind of shoots my argument a little bit, but they are relatively cheap compared to like other mech games I've played, and really money hasn't been an issue for me at all. You can also buy weaponry and outfit your mechs, and you can also upgrade your mechs. When you're using them, you're earning experience for doing things like kill 50 light mechs, say that, and then you claim that, and it gives you some experience on that type of mech. It goes across all the mechs you have of the same type. So if you have 5 mechs, all of the same type, they'll all get these benefits that you're putting in, and they're all the same. So it's like turning speed, acceleration, forward speed, rear speed, chassis movement, chassis speed of movement, stuff like that. And you can spend the experience there. You can also spend the experience to unlock variants of the mechs. Now, the clan mechs are called Omni mechs because they're modular. So as you unlock a second one, so say your mech has 2 pods, one on each arm, as is common, and you can fit 2 lasers in each, and that's your lot. And then you unlock the next one, and you might get like one that has 2 lasers in one hand, and the other one has a machine gun and an SRM in it. Short range missile, in case you don't. So you can use experience to unlock alternate pods, and of course you're free to swap out the different types. So if you have an energy weapon, you can swap in and out other stuff. You obviously have a weight limit, and they generate heat. Heat is a lot more forgiving than this game. In previous games, if you overheated, so you fired all of your big fucking lasers, barely damaged your mech, but blew your heat right out, and your heat sinks couldn't cope with it, you'd shut down entirely. Which obviously meant you're helpless and will just get shot to buggery, so you always have to be very careful about the heat. In this game, all it does is disable your weapons. You can still move. I'm not sure if that's lore accurate. I have seen the cartoon, by the way, just sorry. But it is a thing in this game that it just disables the weapons, so you can still move around and defend yourself via movement rather than shooting back until your heat clears and you can fire again. So I've got mixed opinions about that. I think like it is very easy to overheat if you don't pay attention, because I really like using laser weaponry, for instance. Just so I don't have to worry about the ammo. It doesn't have splash damage, so I don't have to worry about that. If it's an ER laser, it's got better range, and I can keep it on a target for like a fixed duration. So I really like the ER lasers. Bigger the better, and they obviously generate quite a lot of heat when you have a load of them on your mech. I mean, like, I think Nova has like, it's quite a small mech, but it has like 8 medium lasers on it or something. It's either 6 or 8. It's like half in each fist, and it just goes, which I kind of dug. Like, that was the first time where I got a mech where a well-aimed shot could almost single shot a mech, obviously with all my lasers going into them. So that was cool. But you do get to the point where it's like you're not paying attention to your heat because you're having so much fun shooting all these big lasers, and then it's like, oh fuck, I'm overheated. And like, obviously in previous games it would be quite harsh, the punishment, but in this it's not. Although I do quite like the fact that there's a harsh punishment for being a dickhead and doing that. You know, it kind of encourages you not to be a dickhead, but whatever. Or you and your lancemates all have an upgrade path as well. You all earn XP as you do missions. You'll have like 2 sides. I think like the left hand side is pretty much the same, so it's like, I can't remember any of them. That's annoying. But one side is like generic mech pilot-y stuff, and the other one will generally be sort of weapon based. So you might have one that's gets ballistic cooldown quicker, so they can fire more often with their ballistic weapons. Stuff like that. And you can go up to 5 levels in that. I think turning is one on the left side. There you go. General mech piloting stuff. And some of them have heat management as well, which is obviously very useful. And putting the right mech onto the right people is very important, because obviously if you've got someone that like can fire ballistic weapons tons, and then you have another one that's like laser heat is really reduced. You want to give them mechs with those appropriate weapons as far as you can.
New
But
residents
it's,
are all too eager
I'm,
to take their place.
you know,
Its current
I'm,
rulers,
I've enjoyed
Santander's
this
killers,
far more than I did
are
Mercenaries.
led
Let's
by
put it that way.
Helmar
I don't know whether it's
Valsec,
because there's a better story to it. Like the
self-styled pirate
Mercenaries
king.
did have a story.
He has
It was
accepted
very
our
few and far
battle
between,
to
and
fight
it felt
for
like
control of this world.
I was just doing.
Interesting.
I know the missions weren't
I
like
would not think a freeborn
random, but
bandit would honor
it
our
kind of felt
ways.
like that. It's like when you're
Indeed.
when
He
you
has
finish like the
chosen
meat
the
of a
killer
game,
plays
and
our
it's just like have some
battlefield that is not
randomly
disclosed as
generated
numbers.
missions that you can
Documented
play.
Dragoon Intel
And you're
estimates
just like,
the killers have roughly
yeah,
2
kind of got bored of
battalions of
those
mixed
quick.
armor
It
and
kind of felt like
battling
that,
assets at their
whereas this,
disposal.
it feels a
Your
lot more
star has been
narratively tight.
temporarily assigned to my
So
silver cache
I am,
to act as our
I
scouting
do
star
like
for
a
this
good
engagement.
story with my games, so
Designation,
maybe that's
Cobalt.
what swings it for
I
me.
look forward to seeing
I'm
what
not
you are
having as
capable
much
of,
trouble with
Star
it in terms of
Commander.
difficulty either.
We are honored to
There
be
are a few
chosen,
spikes in here
Zakon.
and there.
I will
But I mean,
not let
I've
you down.
not had to try and
See
replay
that
a
you do
mission
not.
more than twice.
Ilkhan Showers has
So, there
ambitions
you go.
far beyond this one world.
And one of
we
those
shall
was
see that his
bullshit.
will is done.
I won't get into it. Performance-wise, it's not great. In all honesty, to get an acceptable frame rate, this is with oh Christ, God, what ray tracing. There we go. Jesus, my brain these days is just not working properly. This is with ray tracing off. You get like plus 60. I had to like go down to high and turn DLSS onto balanced. It was like without ray tracing on
Jaguar actual,
like
we have
quality
touchdown.
DLSS. On
Acknowledged,
Ultra,
Cobalt.
I was
Approach the mark
getting
coordinates
16
and report
frames a
any
second,
hostile
which
activity.
is obviously not what you want to be doing. So there's that. It is, you know, this is, yeah, I mean, my system's not like towering or anything, but you know, it's a 3080, 32 gigs of
We have no
DDR4.
idea what these spheroids are capable of.
You know,
Be prepared
I would
for
expect to be able to like run stuff without ray tracing plus 60 at top settings, but not this. And I remember Mercenaries was similarly, I guess unoptimized would be the only term to use. So yeah, I had to turn a few settings down on that as well. So I mean, it's obviously they're using the same engine and they have the same
Jaguar
problems
actual, we have visual
in
of the
terms
AO.
of like
No
that. I mean, it is a
contact,
pretty good looking game.
three
It
drop
is,
ships
it's certainly,
at Nav Point
it's not
Alpha,
going to be like
Union class.
a game where you're
active?
going to be telling your children about the first
fusion
time you
reactor
saw it.
activity.
You know what I mean? But
Move in
it
and
certainly, you know,
investigate,
it
but
looks good,
proceed
and
with caution.
you know, I'm enjoying
Hostiles
it.
may
But
be using
I would
the ships
appreciate
as
if I
cover.
could squeeze a few more frames out of it at higher settings. Is all. So, Mechwarrior the Clans, yeah, I mean, if you've got Game Pass and you like big stompy robots, give it a go. Why not? Absolutely no reason not to. It's a bit of a harder sell
hostiles
for
present
like
at the
full
nav
price.
point.
I would like to have
Commencing
seen it
scan of
sort of like
dropships.
maybe at like 30, 40 quid mark rather than like, I think it's like 60, just under.
We should be getting
So,
some kind of
but
raid.
even then, I mean, if I had bought it, I wouldn't have been terribly
Second scan
disappointed.
complete.
Because, I mean, it is better for me than Mechwarrior's Mercenaries was,
Still no fusion
and
reactor
I always
activity.
preferred those type of
Could
games,
be
so
heavily
that
shielded.
should tell you something.
Scans received.
But that's all from
Heavy
me.
shielding
You guys
confirmed.
take it easy,
Star
and I'll
Commander
catch you
Layla,
next time.
you and Shroudstar are a go.